To keep those, and then much later, after the emotional part, I was like, well, Bono would be very happy with me, you know. So yeah, whenever we're doing that song live, if we can, you know, if we're having a fun group of people, we'll probably jump into that, you know. Play. All these agents and all these schools are going around and they hear you, so you might just get a few schools that want to book shows with you, but if you get an agent, he said you can get, you know, 35 shows out of the whole thing.
Wow.
And, you know, at a minimum of $500 a show. Or, you know, he had an artist that was getting like a minimum of $1,500 a show, and he got like 30 dates out of that, so
you just have to go to the conference then.
Right, exactly. So that'll be something for the investors, right?
Well, how do you feel about that? Because I've read a lot of articles about the new thing is people investing in musicians.
Sure.
You know, like to help them build their album.
Absolutely.
But in a way, I feel like that's like sacrilegious, because then you're sort of, I mean, you don't ever, it's the same thing of like, when you write, you don't want to write just for the fans. You know, like you don't want to be influenced by, you can't have the art be influenced. And if you have investors, then it's sort of like
as long
slippery slope.
As long as the investors are, because I've heard of situations where a friend, Joel Ackerson, he actually ended up having like a number of circumstances where people wrote him checks for a particular sum of money and they said, this is just to help you. I hope that it does. Yeah. You know, and then just kind of let it be. You know,
which is good.
Which that would be the ideal. Yeah, that would be the ideal situation. Chances are, though, you know, it's like that's kind of how a major label works, though, too. Is that it's like they're pumping a lot of money into something that you don't have a budget to do. You know, they're getting people to do promotions. They're doing a lot of radio promotion, which it's ridiculous. Like I just learned recently a CHR, which stands for Contemporary Hot Radio, I think. That sort of radio campaign where you'd be hearing that on like the top 40 station takes place, or it's like $1.5 million to do something like that, to launch one single. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's like obviously an individual, you know, like me doesn't have that kind of money. A record label would. Or if you just had like an investor who just believed in you crazily, or, you know, was like your girlfriend's dad or something like that.
Investor. Yeah. Well, what is it? I mean, I understand the marketing and promotion aspect of it. Yeah. But in terms of, it seems to me like it's all about distribution. I mean, and you could be the marketer by touring. And but, I mean, can you get into Hastings? Because I know like for the people who are into Isla at Hastings, they're paying for that.
Absolutely. And that's exactly it. You can become a label entity, and you can do things like that. Distribution is certainly important. However, if you don't have a presence somewhere through another means, then it's not going to do me any good to have, like, you know, 1,000 units at a Best Buy in,
no one's buying,
you know, Sheboygan, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, well, they're there, they look nice, but that's about it, you know.
Nowadays, I guess it's just easier for them to just buy it from your website.
It is. Or,
and you make more money that way, too, because then you're not paying Hastings.
Right. So I would sell it to Hastings at a discounted cost, and then they would actually sell it at the regular price so that I can end up making some money. iTunes is awesome. I've had people in Australia, people in the UK, people in Japan, people in the US, all buy music, and I don't have to pay any shipping costs.
That's great.
And ultimately, what it breaks down to is, like, iTunes pays the artist enough that it's almost as much as I would get from
if they just bought it from
if they just bought the CD from me.
That's really good.
Yeah, so in the future, I'm probably going to have some iTunes exclusive releases, where I just like do something exclusively online that people can pick up, because it's a fast means for sure, you know. So
well, I'm all about the convenience. I agree with you that iTunes is great in the sense that it's like the online target. Everybody can get there. If you made it on, if your album is on iTunes, you have some means of credibility.
Right, absolutely.
But let's be honest. Yeah. What the fuck is up with DRM? My grandma wanted me to do a slideshow for her. I bought this song. With How Sweet It Is. There's like 50 people who record it. I bought one song. I went to make a slideshow for my grandma. I wanted to burn it for some of her friends.
Can't use it.
Can't use it.
Yeah. It's you know, one of the members of the Counting Crows posted a huge blog about all of this. How like, you know, iTunes is so great because it's like it's meant to protect the artist so that people can't do sharing, you know, or they download it and they can't share it. At the same time, it's almost going to be inevitable, in my opinion. You know, there are certain people that, like, care so much about the craft and supporting the artist that, I mean, it's like, you know, they'll hand you a 50, you know, and the CD is only $10.
Yeah.
And like, you know, just hold on to the change. You know what I'm saying? And so there are the people who are going to do that, and there are the people who don't know me at all as a person or even as an artist. They just heard a song and they liked it, and they're like, you know what, that's worth my 50 seconds to, you know, download from, you know, BearShare or, you know, whatever it is now that people are using to download, you know, illegally, or just have a friend burn it for them, you know.
Don't you think there's some value in that?
There is value in that, absolutely. Actually, the means that artists are gonna, in my opinion, from what I've learned, the ways that artists are gonna make money in the future are through publishing and through playing live shows.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
Ziggy Marley said that too, that he thought music was going to be free.
Yeah, and so ultimately, if it came down to it, where if I could afford to get tens or maybe even hundreds of thousands of CDs and just hand them out, if people ended up liking the music, then it's like, well, hey, whenever I come to your city, just come to the show.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And that would make all the difference in the world if that happens. So
I think that, though, there's going to come a time where people who really like you and who want you to succeed and who will support you, and especially nowadays because of the internet, people can become part of your community.
Right.
Those people are always going to go out and buy the record.
Right.
You know, and there's some people whoever downloading it from BearShare, they're probably not going to go out and buy the record.
Exactly.
You know?
You're not. So it's a good point on you're not necessarily losing any customers. You know, because these people, they didn't necessarily like it enough to go out and buy it, but they liked it enough to take the moment or two that it takes to either copy the CD from a friend or you know. I would hope that eventually, if somebody really ended up liking it, like listening to it every day,
then they would do it.
That they would pick it up from me. But you know, even if not, I'm like, at least cruise out to a show. For sure.
It's marketing,
yeah. Totally. Or at least send me an email and you know, tell me how much of a difference it made, you know. Like at the end of the day, you know, like it's not going to, you know, help me pay rent, but, you know, maybe it'll make me feel better.
It's not going to help you pay rent directly.
Right.
But that's not to say that and some piece of the pie, I mean, it's just like you can't see it at the time.
Exactly.
I mean, I think that's why Metallica, they felt like people were taking money out of their pocket, but I mean, I don't know how they feel now, but I think they just didn't see the macro view. They were too focused in on the micro of what that was.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And it gets scary when something changes so radically, where it's like you're so used to one revenue source, and then it's like,
for sure,
you know, you have to like kind of, you know, adjust and be proactive and, you know, have a new paradigm. They use enough buzzwords in there. Was that good?
For sure. For sure. Well, I mean, Terry Hendricks was talking about in the olden days when somebody wanted to buy one of her songs, if like they just heard it on the radio, they'd have to go buy her whole album, you know, so basically that would pay her rent. Whereas now they like it or whatever, 40 people go to iTunes and buy one song and she makes $26 or something, you know?
Yeah. But I tend to look at it in the way of like saying, well, if they liked that one song, they can at least have the access to just get that. Or if they're the type of person who would pick up a whole CD, they're probably going to pick it up.
For sure.
You know, so it's like, who knows? You know, I guess like, you know, you could argue either side until, you know, you're blue in the face. And really at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we just, you know, as musicians, we do need money. You know, and it comes from, you know, playing shows and selling CDs and selling T-shirts and, you know, getting publishing stuff. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, I'll be a little honest here. You know, it's like, it's very difficult when I was working a full-time job, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, to try to come home. You know, maybe if you go to the gym or, you know, you eat dinner, so it's like, what, maybe about 7:30 that you're actually ready to sit down and start doing stuff. Well, if you talk about trying to, you know, get creative, you know, spend some time practicing your instrument or working on lyrics or doing something like that or rehearsing with your band, and also trying to do, you know, the stuff like staying in touch with fans, like being in support, booking shows and all of that.
It's a full-time job.
I would say it's more than that, you know? And I mean, it's like, oftentimes it's like if I don't leave my house in the day, you know, it's like, I'll get up and then it's like I won't even stop, you know, working on stuff till like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and it's just because I never left, and you're just consistently working on it. So
that's what they say about owning your own business, is that you live it.
Exactly. So, you know, but so that's where that comes in, where it is very important that we do end up making some money, because it's like, you know, I can work a 12-hour day, you know, doing the musician job, and literally have no monetary
but it's necessary.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you know, at the end of the month when we play a big show that we've been spending a lot of time promoting for, you know, we sell a bunch of stuff, sell a bunch of tickets, and that's how we end up like making some dough. So anyway. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Love it. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Anyway, so